The first time the Railbolt came at her, the universe seemed to pause, as if every star and ship in the sector held its breath. Amidst the chaos of the interstellar battlefield, Zarya stood alone on the observation deck of the command cruiser, her eyes tracking the flash of the projectile before it even left the alien weapon's barrel. No fear, only an icy focus that radiated calm to everyone around her. The attackers, tall, multiland creatures with eyes like molten silver, had underestimated the simple grace of human reflexes. The first bolt was intended to kill. It zipped through the air, tearing through panels, slicing the edge of a viewport, but when it reached Zarya, she tilted slightly, just a fraction of an inch, and with her fingertips, caught the deadly Railbolt. The entire crew gasped as she rotated her hand and handed it back to the stunned alien sniper. There was no malice in her expression, only the serene precision of someone who had mastered chaos as easily as breathing. Moments like this weren't learned in training simulators or elite academies. They were forged in countless trials across planets where humanity had survived when every other species would have fallen. Zarya's calm was the distilled essence of her people's unyielding resilience. From the barren ice deserts of Karen 7 to the sweltering acid storms of Rylith 9, she had faced threats that could kill a dozen humans before breakfast and had emerged alive because humans refused to panic. The alien sniper, unaccustomed to such unshakable poise, froze. Its weapon discharged a second bolt, faster, sharper, but Zarya's reflexes were beyond calculation. She twisted, not in fear, but in anticipation. And once again, the bolt was caught and returned with a soft, almost dismissive flick. The sniper's legs buckled under its own astonishment, and it fell from the battlements of its ship. Zarya's crew stared, unable to tear their eyes away from the calm human whose actions defied physics and instinct alike. She didn't boast. She didn't shout. She simply exhaled. And the universe seemed to resume its rhythm, as if it had merely been holding its breath for her display. Orders crackled over comms, but Zarya had already moved to intercept another threat. One alien frigate had slipped past the outer defense perimeter, firing torpedoes with reckless abandon. Without a word, she engaged the ship's navigation controls directly with a neural interface, guiding her small fighter craft through a ballet of evasive maneuvers that left the enemy weapon systems malfunctioning from sheer confusion. As she landed a disabling strike on the alien frigate, the other ships of the Armada hesitated. They were witnessing a human, alone, facing what should have been overwhelming firepower, and yet each move was flawless, elegant, and terrifying in its efficiency. The story of humanity's survival was not one of machines or superweapons. It was of the people themselves, who had turned adversity into instinct, and instinct into art. By the time the dust settled, the alien armada had begun to retreat. Their senses had recorded every second of Zarya's actions, and they would carry the story back to their leaders. And humans, as always, would remain underestimated, unpredicted, unstoppable in their calm, unshakable defiance. Even as the warning sirens died down, Zarya's expression remained unchanged. She crouched to pick up a piece of the destroyed Railbolt, examined it, and then handed it to her crew, a silent message: fear nothing, not even death itself. In that moment, the battlefield had been conquered, not by strategy or numbers, but by the unassailable essence of a single human being. The galaxy was watching, and humanity had just shown it how very wrong it had been to doubt them. The first time Zarya had caught a Railbolt, it had stunned everyone, especially the aliens, but the war was far from over. As the shattered fragments of the alien frigate floated silently in the void, a far deadlier threat emerged. A massive dreadnought, bristling with weapons that could annihilate a moon. Its hull gleamed like black ice, and its approach cut a swath through the scattered debris of the battlefield. The human fleet trembled, not from fear, but in awe of the impossibility they were about to face. Zarya's fighter tore through the void, her neural interface syncing directly with her reflexive instincts. The dreadnought fired first, launching a volley of missiles faster than any human-designed countermeasure could track. In a heartbeat, she dodged, weaving through explosions and debris, each movement precise enough to make a machine blush. A missile exploded mere meters from her cockpit, shaking the hull, but Zeria's hands never wavered, never trembled. From the command cruiser, her crew watched as she executed maneuvers that defied conventional physics. Loops, spins, sudden stops, and accelerations. The dreadnought's targeting system struggled to keep up. Yet, it wasn't just speed or skill that defined her actions. It was the calm in her mind. Where machines calculated probability, she acted with certainty. Where aliens relied on intimidation, she relied on instinct. Where others hesitated, she dominated. The alien dreadnought, colossal and terrifying, unleashed a swarm of drones. Each drone fired its own railbolts, lighting the battlefield with deadly arcs of energy. Zeria tilted her head, eyes narrowing, and with a flick of her wrist, she caught the first bolt in her hand, the second on her forearm, and the third ricocheted into space. Each movement was poetry in motion, precise, fluid, almost casual. She didn't just survive. She choreographed the battlefield around her, turning danger into art. Her crew whispered intercoms, unable to comprehend how one human could orchestrate such a feat. Reports would later describe a human moving through a storm of fire and metal like she was invisible, untouched, untouchable, a ghost in the middle of chaos. Meanwhile, Zeria's mind calculated her next move, not through numbers or formulas, but through pure intuition honed by a lifetime of survival and combat. She darted toward the dreadnought, her fighter weaving under its massive hull. With a precise shot, she disabled one of the primary energy conduits. The dreadnought shuddered as its systems malfunctioned, giving humanity a momentary upper hand. Then, with a flick of her neural interface, she hacked into the ship's targeting array, redirecting its own weapons against its drones. The enemy watched in horror as their swarm turned against them, shredded by the very technology they trusted. Through the comms, Zeria's calm voice cut like a blade. Stay focused. They expect panic. Give them nothing. Her crew, inspired by her composure, rallied instantly. Every human fighter followed her lead, not by orders, but by the confidence she exuded. The dreadnought, once a symbol of invincibility, faltered against the precision and resolve of humanity. By the end of the engagement, the dreadnought floated powerless among the wreckage, its systems irreversibly damaged. Zeria landed her fighter gracefully, stepping onto the deck as if she had merely taken a stroll in a quiet park. There was no celebration, no prideful display, just the serene satisfaction of a human who had faced the impossible and emerged unshaken. The story of this engagement would ripple across the galaxy, one human, unarmed but calm, turning chaos into victory. Humanity was not defined by machines, numbers, or brute force. It was defined by its people, by instinct, courage, and a mastery of calm that no alien mind could comprehend. Even as the fleet repaired its systems and prepared for the next assault, Zeria's gaze was fixed on the stars. Somewhere out there, the next challenge awaited, but she was ready. She always was. Because humans were never just fighters, they were unshakable, unpredictable, and unstoppable. The moment the alien dreadnought fell silent, Zeria sensed the true danger was only beginning. Across the battlefield, strange anomalies rippled through space, shimmering distortions that bent light, twisted gravity, and made even experienced pilots lose their bearings. The aliens were not just attacking with weapons. They were manipulating reality itself, testing humanity in ways no one had survived before. Zeria's eyes narrowed as her fighter systems beeped warnings of spatial instability. Yet she moved without hesitation, threading her craft through the warping void as though the distortions obeyed her will. Every bolt of energy, every fragment of debris, every pulse of gravity was accounted for in her mind before it could even reach her. Around her, human pilots faltered, some caught in sudden gravitational waves, others spinning helplessly. But Zaria, calm, composed, unflinching, became the eye of the storm. An alien command cruiser emerged from a tear in space, larger than anything seen before, its hull covered in iridescent, pulsating armor that seemed alive. Its weapons activated instantly, firing streams of railbolts and patterns designed to overwhelm human reflexes. Zaria tilted her fighter, catching the first bolt in mid-air like a seasoned juggler, redirecting the second toward a drifting asteroid which exploded spectacularly against the cruiser's hull. Each move was fluid, elegant, and deadly. Her crew watched from the command cruiser, disbelief etched on their faces. The humans aboard had faced impossible odds countless times, but even they had never seen reflexes and calm so utterly perfect. It was as if Zaria's mind operated on a different plane, every calculation instant, every instinct flawless, every response lethal. The alien cruiser, meant to inspire terror, now quivered under the quiet mastery of one human. Zaria launched a series of micromissiles, guiding them through twisting gravitational eddies with uncanny precision. The alien ship's shields faltered, sparks flying as her strikes hit vital nodes. But even then, Zaria did not pause. She detected a secondary railgun turret charging behind her. In a fluid motion, she leaped into the enemy's line of fire, catching the bolt with both hands, spinning it like a baton, and hurling it into the cruiser's energy core. The resulting explosion illuminated the surrounding void with a dazzling burst of light and fire. Yet the battle was not just physical. Alien PSY operators attempted to invade human minds, projecting fear, doubt, and visions of destruction directly into their thoughts. Human pilots screamed, some collapsing as their own imaginations betrayed them. But Zaria's mind was a fortress. She felt the intrusion, acknowledged it, and pushed it back, not with machines, not with shields, but with the sheer force of human will. Her calm was a weapon, sharper than any railbolt, stronger than any alien technology. The alien fleet recoiled, sensing a predator in their midst unlike any they had encountered. Zaria's fighter weaved through the battlefield, dismantling their formations with an artistry that defied comprehension. She didn't just attack, she orchestrated, manipulating both human and alien movements to perfection. By the time the last alien ship attempted retreat, it was already trapped in a web of its own design, neutralized before it could escape. As silence returned to the battlefield, Zaria floated in space, hands resting lightly on the control console. She had not raised her voice. She had not panicked. She had simply acted, with the precision, calm, and courage that defined humanity at its finest. Around her, human pilots who had survived the onslaught began to rally, inspired by the impossibility they had witnessed. Zaria's gaze shifted to the stars, the unknown stretches of the galaxy beyond. She knew the fight would continue, that new threats would rise, and that humanity would be tested again. But she also knew this: as long as humans retained their calm, their instinct, and their courage, no enemy, no matter how alien or advanced, could truly prevail. Humanity did not just survive. Humanity dominated, because they were unshakable, unpredictable, and unstoppable. In that moment, drifting among the wreckage and cosmic anomalies, Zaria understood something profound. It was never just about the weapons or the ships, the strategies or the numbers. It was about the people themselves. Humans could face annihilation with a smile, turn impossible odds into triumph, and remind the galaxy why they should never be underestimated. The galaxy itself seemed to hold its breath as Zaria faced the final adversary, a colossal alien flagship, dwarfing every ship in the human fleet combined. Its hull shimmered with dark energy, its weapons bristling with unknown technology, and its aura radiated a terrifying confidence. Every sensor aboard human vessels screamed a warning. This was a force unlike any encountered before. Yet Zaria's gaze was calm, almost serene, as if she were meeting an old friend. From her fighter, She studied the flagship's patterns, the rhythm of its attacks, the subtle fluctuations in its energy output. Then, almost imperceptibly, she tilted her head and smiled. A single railbolt launched from the flagship, traveling at unimaginable speed. Time slowed around her. She caught it mid-E, the metal cool in her palm, and with a flick of her wrist, sent it back toward the flagship's main energy core. The explosion that followed illuminated the void like a newborn star, sending shockwaves through the surrounding fleet. The alien flagship responded, unleashing an array of energy tendrils, each capable of disintegrating a human cruiser instantly. Zaria's fighter weaved through them with fluid precision, a dance of motion that no computer could replicate. She guided human ships through gaps in the onslaught, her calm radiating through their comms, giving every pilot the confidence to act without hesitation. Humanity's fleet became a symphony of calculated chaos, each move dictated by instinct and unwavering resolve. Inside the flagship, alien commanders watched in disbelief as their most powerful weapons were turned against them. Every railbolt fired, every energy tendril unleashed, was anticipated and counted by a single human mind. Zaria's calm was infectious, her focus unshakable. The aliens, creatures of cold calculation, found themselves outmaneuvered not by technology, but by human instinct, courage, and sheer unpredictability. Zaria's fighters surged forward, entering the flagship's outer hull. With a series of precise maneuvers, she navigated the maze of corridors, dodging internal defenses and laser grids. The crew inside the flagship panicked, unable to comprehend how one human had infiltrated their strongest bastion. When Zaria reached the central command chamber, she did not shout, threaten, or hesitate. She simply stood, radiating calm authority, and handed back a captured alien energy weapon to the commander, a silent message of dominance. The flagship trembled as its systems collapsed under coordinated attacks guided by Zaria. Human ships exploited every weakness, turning alien strength into vulnerability. One by one, the massive tendrils faltered, the energy shields flickered, and the flagship's aura of invincibility shattered. Zaria's calm in the face of impossible odds had become the turning point, the catalyst for victory. Outside, the human fleet cheered as the flagship's hull ruptured, energy cascading into space like liquid fire. The aliens attempted one final strike, but it was already too late. Humanity had proven, once again, that skill, courage, and calm could overcome any technology, any number, any fear. Zaria landed on the flagship's bridge with the grace of someone stepping onto familiar ground. She looked at the stunned alien leaders and spoke softly, "You underestimated humans. You always do. And that is your greatest mistake." The victory was complete, not through brute force, but through the precision, courage, and calm of a single human. The fleet repaired and regrouped, but Zaria's actions had already rewritten the galaxy's perception of humanity. Humans were not just survivors. They were masters of the battlefield, unshakable, unpredictable, and unstoppable. As the stars stretched infinitely ahead, Zaria gazed outward. She knew this victory was just one of many battles to come, that the galaxy held challenges yet unseen. But one truth remained. As long as humanity retained its calm, its courage, and its instinct, no threat could stand against it. The human legacy was one of dominance through mastery of self, and Zaria was its shining example. Even in silence, in the stillness after the storm, the galaxy would remember. Humans were not to be feared merely for their technology, but for their unyielding, unstoppable essence.